Hey, house guests, it's your girl, Rack Famous Star. Alright, so I'm here. I was going to record this tomorrow morning or when I got home from work, but I was like, you know what, whatever. Just record it now because you have too much going on. Like, I am so tired. I don't ever really wear my glasses during the day, and my eyeballs are just like, close me, go to sleep. All right. And I might just do that. I might work. I have a paper due tonight, and I might just work on it like halfway. And then since it's gonna be not a crappy paper, but not a good one. So I don't know. I'm debating, but as you can see, there's like no life in my eyes right now. All right. So this is episode 30 recap of BB. Um, so after noms, like Paul and Victor were just nominated by Natalie and Meech. With Paul being the target, Paul went to go ask Natalie in the kitchen. He was like, "What I lie about? What I lie about?" And he couldn't say anything. And she was trying to lead the conversation. She was like, "I'll talk to you when you're not heated." And he's like, "I'm not heated. I just want to know, why I'm up and why did I lie? Like, what's going on?" And she doesn't say anything. James tries to like stand up for her a little bit, but Paul's like, "I'm not talking to you." Well, he doesn't say. I don't know if he says it like that, but he's basically like, "This isn't between me and you." I'm just asking her why I'm up. I don't know. She doesn't say anything. Meech brings up Davon going home and why she didn't know, and like, that's not just Paul. That wasn't just Paul's fault. Nicole and Corey knew. Nicole and Corey voted Davon out. So I'm just confused on why she's just so gung ho mad at Paul. And I know I may be saying this because I'm now gung ho for Paul to win. And this is crazy because if like week 1, week 2, week 3, I was like, get Paul out. I'm done with Paul. Like, so I don't know. Paul tells Natalie what Paulie said about putting James up. And the only other people that were there when Paulie said this was Corey, right? That was when, if you remember from last episode, when Nicole ran to tell James Nat, what Paulie had said. And she said that Paul agreed to it when he didn't really say anything. Like, Paulie said, put James up. And Paul was just like, he didn't say like, yeah, I'm for the plan, and Nicole was like, okay, like he was like, y'all need to work together, and Nicole was like for it. So that's when she ran to go tell. That's how she got off the block, because she ran to go tell James and Natalie, and that's when Natalie had just won HOH. So it was just like, well, if I think it was after she won HOH. So I was just like, well, why, like, would you have told Natalie that if she hadn't won HOH? Like, what if Victor had won? Would you have kept this information to yourself? So when Corey got called into the diary room, Paul took that as his opportunity to go after Nicole because Nicole was by herself, and normally Nicole's never by herself. And he goes at Nicole, she's there in the kitchen, and he's asking her, like, why am I on the block? He's like, well, I'm on the block because of you, and that he was saying that Paul was a manipulator and that he's a liar. Like, he was like, how am I a manipulator? How am I a liar? Sorry if that didn't make sense. I was a little confused. I think I, like, fell asleep while talking. I don't know. And she was like, I don't know. She was like, she couldn't back anything up. Because I guess Nicole had said Paul was a manipulator and he was a liar. And she was like, well, you're really good at this game. And he was like, am I? You haven't been up on the block yet once. Am I really good at this game? So, wait, has Has James been up on the block? I'm trying to think. If he has, I don't remember. But and so during this fight that was going on, Corey was released from his patriotard, and it was really awkward because normally everyone's like woo yeah like they're watching the striptease of the patriotard coming off, and it was awkward because they weren't really paying attention and they were fighting. Nicole and Paul were still fighting during this, and Corey like didn't get the hint until like 5 minutes later, and he was like, "Wait, you guys be fighting?" And they were like, "Yeah," like or they were. And he's like, "Y'all arguing?" Well, he said, "Are y'all fighting?" And then Nicole said, "Yeah," and Paul said, "No," and he was like, "We're just talking." So I don't know. It was like super awkward. They did hashtag awkward at the bottom since they're all into hashtags now. All right, so let me go on. So they had storm updates that were pertaining to the veto competition. They were going on all night. They started at like 1 a.m. They probably stopped around like not all night. They probably stopped around like 5. And they were weather updates with house guest names in them. And so Paul was staying up to memorize these, and he's in the HOH room. They like locked the HOH room down. They were going over them. And Natalie and I don't know, was it Michelle next to her? They like were up most of the night studying, and then like they fell asleep like towards the end. And Paul kept trying to wake them up. But Corey and Nicole were basically they were cuddling all night and barely bothering to wake up for these storm updates, because they felt that safe. Like they felt that safe. So I don't know. I was just like, what? So the veto players were, of course, Meech and Nat, Paul and Victor, and then James was a house guest choice chosen by Paul, and then Corey was also house guest choice chosen by Meech, and James was chosen by Paul because Paul thought maybe he would use it on him if he won, and then Corey was chosen by Meech because he was most likely not going to win. Paul. So after the pickings of the players, I guess Paul fell. I'm pretty sure it was after Paul fell asleep in the HOH room, and Natalie, she kind of got mad at it, and I was just like, okay, she got mad, like not mad, but like bothered. And she easily changed her focus to wanting to get out Paul from Corey, because they had switched earlier in the episode, and they were like, when Paul brought up the whole Corey lying thing, they were like, oh my gosh, we've been tricked, like, what has happened? Let's get out Corey, so they had switched early in the episode. They were talking about getting rid of Corey, and then, ooh, those pins were cute. Sorry. And so when Natalie kind of switched her mind to now getting out Corey, James agreed because he wants to continue working with the Corey. James, I don't know. It may be a good idea for them, but I'm not 100% sure if it's something that I really like. This is making me not want to vote James America's favorite player. I think if Paul doesn't win, I'll give it. I'll give it, but I think if Paul doesn't win, Paul will have a very good chance of winning America's favorite player. So outside of like game talk or whatever you want to call it, James, they were out in the backyard, and it was James, Natalie, I think Meech, and someone else. Victor, probably. Paul was, yeah, Paul was working out, and James snuck over and put salt in Paul's water. Um, and I guess he like snuck around. I had walked away to warm up some food at this time, but I heard like them talking about it. And I walked back when Paul spat out when he drank it. So it's like funny, but kind of sucky. I'd be kind of pissed off. Like, I mean, I think someone's done that to me before because I remember like salty water. Like, what the heck? I don't know. But that was a little like breaking the game. Paul kind of laughed it off too. So the veto was called One at a Time. It wasn't called One at a Time. It was like Storm Breakers or something. I don't know what it was called. But basically, they had to compete one at a time, and they were reading from a prompter, and they had to fill in the blank of the superstorm of the 4 previous house guests. While like it was like raining, it was like super strong winds, and there's rain, and there was things flying, and they had this umbrella to hold and the little microphone, and excuse me, they had to a blank would come, and they'd have to say the name of the blank before it disappeared from the screen. And Paul ended up winning. Did I even write anymore? I don't think I did. So Paul ended up winning. He got a perfect score of 21, probably because he was staying up all night studying. Michelle got really close with 20, and then I think Victor was the next up with 19. Everyone else was like 15, 14, 10, like super low. And not super low, but not high. And of course, Paul took himself down. Before he took himself down, though, there was talk about like who should go up in the place, of Paul. And Meech wanted Nicole still, and everyone else wanted Corey because that gives Victor a fair shot of staying because Corey is a comp beast. I don't see it. And so there wasn't really like a conclusion before the veto ceremony of who was going to go up, but it ended up being Corey. I personally think Victor is still going home unless like some Hail Mary happens. But yeah, I pretty much think he's going home. I would like Corey to go home, but we'll see. But that wraps it up for me. I'm super tired, and I have to finish this work. Pray for me. But all right, thanks for watching, and you're welcome. Bye.